Cheers, Erin.
Cheers, Sarah.
Are you serious? You found the penguin mug?
I did. I found yet another item in the collection.
Your poor father.
I know. This one, he did remember who it was from, and it was his mother-in-law. And so she was the one that started the collection, and so she's the one that kept it going.
There you go. But did she think it was kind of like a joke? Like, I'm just going to keep getting these? Or does she really think he liked them that much?
We'll never know with my grandmother, but my dad and mom seem to think that she sincerely thought that he loved penguins, and so that's how it started.
Yeah. That happens sometimes in families.
Yeah, sometimes. And you just think, oh, wow, this is great. I know what gift I'm going to get this person, and it just continues.
See, all you have to do is look for penguin stuff.
Yeah.
So funny.
I saw your mug, Sarah, had some writing on it.
Yeah, it does. It's a beautiful mug that my friend got me for my 30th birthday. So it's 15 years old.
I love that little house on the hill. Is it like a mushroom house?
Oh, it's so cute. So yes,
Aww.
if you're on YouTube, you can see this. So go over and check on YouTube. So this is from a Quebec company here. It's hand painted and it's obviously very durable because I've had it for 15 years, but I'm not 45, so can't do math.
Wait, so more than 15 years?
No, it's only 14 because I'm 44.
Oh, 14 years. Oh, okay.
I can't count. So 44 minus 30 is only 14. So it's in French. One of my friends gave it to me for my birthday. It says, En bas de la colline, so at the bottom of the hill, j'ai semé des fleurs. I planted some flowers. Pour que ta fenêtre fleurisse le bonheur. So that your window is blooming with happiness. It's a beautiful poem.
Cute. I love that.
And that's what the picture's of. So there's the windows and and it's a great housewarming gift too. They're great.
Oh, that's so cute. I love it.
Yeah, and I always think of Vanessa when I drink from it.
Exactly. They're perfect. You use them and then you think of them. It's perfect.
Yeah.
All right. So we can launch into what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, of course. Let's go.
The past couple of episodes, we've been talking about applying our second language skills to work-related skills, right?
Yeah.
And so we talked about networking, we talked about sales pitches, and next time we're going to have an interview with somebody who talks about public speaking. So this is going to be great. Really excited.
Oh, yeah. So what's in store today?
Yes. So today we're talking about meetings. So,
that sounds quite boring.
Okay, yeah, it might sound boring, but
the sales pitches were scary, and the meeting sounds boring.
Meetings are boring. All right, well,
wow,
dear listeners, don't worry, we're not going to make it boring. We're going to have fun. We're going to make jokes. We're going to share stories, and we're also going to share tips and tricks to make meetings more productive, so you can be in and out. No boring meetings needed, right?
No boring meetings needed. And what words should we be listening for today?
Good question, Sarah. You can keep alert for these 3 words. We've got prep time, speak up, and deadline. So again, jot them down in a notebook along with what you think they mean.
Yeah, so it's prep time, speak up, and deadline. And next week, you're going to get the answers to what all of the terms mean that we've looked at this whole season. And because next week is our very last episode of the season.
My goodness, time has flown by.
Already, it's for sure. It really is. So time flies when you're having fun.
Right. And speaking of time, Sarah, you got 20 minutes on the clock?
I sure do.
All right. Your 20 minutes start now.
So as you said, Erin, we're going to look at ways to hold a successful meeting and to participate in a productive meeting, right?
Exactly. Yes. Ways to lead and participate, both sides of the coin. So let's start at the start, right? Start at the very beginning. How can we get into the right mindset in order to be productive in this meeting?
Oh, how interesting. What an interesting way to start. So yeah, this is true. I love how we do it with our meetings that we also have with our assistant, Catherine, that we take a moment just to arrive and say, okay, how do you feel right now? I mean, we don't do it every time, though we probably should, but like it really helps me enter into this space where I can stop thinking about everything else and stop thinking about my to-do list and just be in the moment. It really helps. It's like a grounding moment for me, and it gets me over into collaborative mode and into the present moment of what's in front of us, and it gets me out of that monkey brain. You know what I mean by monkey brain? Like,
no, I've never heard that before.
Monkey brain, it's like swinging from tree to tree. Like your ideas are just flowing from one tree to the next, swinging around.
Which is, I guess, helpful when you're kind of brainstorming and just coming up with ideas. But when you're trying to get through a solid meeting, like a productive meeting, it can be distracting, right? Or all of these ideas are coming, but they're not kind of like honed in a little bit, right?
Yeah, so it's kind of great just to check in with myself. How do I feel right now? What is my state of mind right now? And it gets me into a creative mode instead of being in that problem-solving mode where I can create like a human rather than just spit out solutions to problems like a machine.
Yeah. And it's so easy, like going into meetings, either having the perspective of, okay, why am I in this meeting again? Or, oh my gosh, I have so many other things that I should be doing. And then the meeting just isn't productive.
Right.
It's not efficient because our brain is not thinking about the here and now. It's thinking about what it should be doing, or often la la land, right? Because they're checking out.
If only I could get out of this meeting.
Yeah. So, Sarah, what is your current mindset right now?
Oh, I love it. I love that question. That's great. I'd say I'm very enthusiastic. Like, I'm just so excited to be doing this with you. I think it's so much fun. I'm enthusiastic about what we're going to be talking about, even though we said it might be a boring subject. It totally isn't. And so I'm very enthusiastic. And you, Erin, what word describes your state of being?
Oh, yeah. I have two right now. And mainly because as you all know, I'm here at my parents' house in Massachusetts, right? And so I'm kind of like with family, so I'm feeling refreshed.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm done with work and then boom, I'm with family. And the second one is kind of like pensive, reflective, I guess, because this is like my childhood home, you know? Every time I come here, I'm just thinking about past, good memories, all that stuff. So
it gets very nostalgic, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All the penguin paraphernalia.
Yeah.
And coasters with your face on them.
Yeah.
But I would say that there's even a start before that start, like the prep time as we're getting ready for this meeting, right?
Exactly, right. Like as the leader of the meeting, like the person who's organizing, you want to make sure that that you're ready to lead, and ahead of time you also want to make sure that this meeting should actually take place, right? Like you want to make sure that you can't, send emails to people or send a checklist that you're kind of updating together. You don't want people leaving your meeting and feeling, oh, well, I could have, like, my life would be better without that meeting, right? Like, you don't want
that. They just stole a time of my life that's so short. They just stole an hour of my time.
Yeah.
And like recently, I just saw the other day a meme. It reminds me of this. It just said, this meeting could have been an email. And it's so true. So many meetings could just have been an email with a nice little thread, everyone responding.
Yeah. I feel like I should buy that shirt.
Yeah,
just to like remind myself, like lead good meetings,
Yeah.
Like my husband, he's been in meetings before where the person who's leading is just going down rabbit trails like every 5 seconds. And when it's during a time where you should be productive, you want to take that productive energy and apply it towards the meeting, right? Not feel like you're missing out on hours that you could be doing something else. So
right.
Yeah. And then the second side of that is you want to think about who to invite, right? You don't want to waste people's time. Time is money. It's precious, right? So think about who needs to be here, who can benefit from this meeting, and
whose input do you really need?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so make sure you have an agenda, that you write out the steps. Like, what is the goal of this meeting? what are the parts of the meeting, write it out, and actually send it to the participants ahead of time. That way they can come prepared and they can tell you beforehand, like, I don't really see the benefit of having me at this meeting. I don't really see how I can be an added value to this meeting.
Yeah, like I love, Sarah, when we have our meetings, either just the two of us or all three of us with Catherine as well. I love how we have a kind of live document, like a constant document that we go back to. That's where we put our like to-dos in between the meetings. That's where we put what we want to talk about, and all of us have access to add to it, like some items that we want to add to the list. I love that. When it's just the three of us, it works perfectly, right?
Yeah.
For bigger groups, you probably don't want to have a live document that everybody can add to, right? You want more structure from the leader, but yeah,
and there's a lot of tools that do that. Like even with Teams, there's ways that you can structure these conversations in between meetings before them so that we're prepared.
Exactly.
And for us, we usually use Zoom. Other people use Teams or other video links. And so I send that link in the Zoom way ahead of time. So it's not a last minute where people are like, where's the link? Did you send the link? Can you send the link? Like, I don't want people panicking because the link isn't there. Like, as soon as the meeting is planned, I put it in, I put in who's invited with the link, and it's sent, and it appears automatically by magic in their calendars and in mine. It just simplifies things so much where we're able to do now.
Yeah. And that goes for in-person meetings too, right? Like making sure that you have those details ahead of time.
Where
so that
it
like
is.
10 minutes before the meeting, somebody's like, wait, is this online or is this in person? I haven't driven there yet. You know, like all of that hecticness that comes with that.
Like, where is it? What room is it in?
Yeah. And so just to recap a little bit what we're talking about, the prep for a leader, it's good to think about why this meeting is taking place, who is attending the meeting, and what content are we creating
and
for
where it's going to be.
Yes, that is too, the where is going to be. But that covers like the leading side. But even if you're just participating in the meeting, you can for sure prepare ahead of time, right? And it's especially important when the meeting is not in your first language. Like Sarah, when we meet with Catherine, it's in French. And so I have to mentally prepare myself, one, to talk in French. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. There are good days and bad days. And two, prepare the agenda and items that I want to talk about, questions that I might have ahead of time, right?
Yeah, like if you have that agenda and you're a participant and you got it ahead of time, or at least you know what the meeting's going to be about, get yourself ready. Prepare the most likely questions that you will most likely be asked so that you can prepare your answers ahead of time, especially if it's in your second or third language. Make sure that you have the most likely questions and answers ready, and the questions that you're going to want to ask as well.
Yeah, and if you want, you can, send them to a friend, a native speaker who can edit them, or use AI tools to edit them, correct them, if you just want to give it like that official once over before you have your meeting.
Perfect. Good idea.
I thought, Sarah, that we could do a little demonstration of a meeting. Are you in for that?
I guess I'm all in. Yes. Okay, good.
You're in? Okay. So let's come up with what type of company we should work for and what we want the meeting to be about, first of all.
Okay, so considering I like traveling and a lot of people like traveling, let's be a travel agency.
Okay.
And since my favorite books of literature was Gulliver's Travels, let's call this Gulliver's Travels Agency.
Nice. Okay, so what's the point of the meeting? Why are we having this meeting?
Yeah, let's hope that there really is a clear point to this meeting. That's those ones that don't have a defined purpose. Those are the ones that give all meetings a bad name. So let's find a clear point that applies to almost all industries from A to Z, like from architects to zoology.
Okay, so you want to make sure that whatever meeting point we're creating right now is applicable to whoever's listening to this.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
So how about like determining the hiring criteria for a call center manager. Just like creating the hiring criteria is something that we often do in whatever industry we're in.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. Okay. So that's good. So then in the agenda, let's say I'll play the HR director, right?
Okay, perfect.
So in the agenda, we see that there's only one main point to this hour-long meeting. So let's give a time, like a timeline, right? And the whole point is determining the criteria needed to hire our next call center manager. Okay. So as the HR director, I'm going to be leading the meeting, right? I'm assuming. So I'll write down my main ideas. Like we want somebody who has quick decision-making skills, right? In order to kind of lead this area. So it's probably best if we choose somebody internally because they already know the company culture. They have a feel for what decisions should be made, right?
Right.
And if they're like within that, we should also find somebody who's pretty self-reliant because they're going to be the manager, right? And somebody who encourages their team to be self-reliant too, so that they're not stuck doing everybody's work, right? We don't want that kind of situation to happen.
So you're the HR director, you call this meeting, you invite me, so I'll play the CEO, like the business owner, and beforehand, I'll write down my questions and I'm going to ask the director, like, do we have someone on staff who would make a good manager? Because like you is better intern. They already know our culture. They already know our processes. They already know a lot of things about what we do and how we do it. There's less training involved. What academic qualifications are necessary, if that's even a thing? How many years of experience is optimal? What soft skills would be an asset? Like, are they very compassionate? And also hard skills, like, are they good with computer programming and the programs that we have that we use every day?
Right, exactly. Like, what is going to be needed in those skills?
Yeah.
So as the HR director, as the leader of the meeting, I will try to anticipate these questions and anticipate other questions so that I'm prepared to answer whatever gets thrown my way, right? So let's say no one who currently works in the call center has the management skills necessary to do the job. They're good at what they do right now, but there's not really much of a potential for them to move up to the manager position. And answering to your second question, the person should have at least 3 years of management experience. In my opinion, I think that's a good place to start. And the person should have at least an associate's degree in business.
Right. That sounds very, very, I mean, we're not experts, but that sounds very reasonable.
Just throwing some ideas around here.
Very reasonable.
So I'm going to say I have an example or a person in mind. I think Sandra in the accounting department would make a great call center manager. Based on all of these things that we've talked about, I see potential in Sandra, so that's who I'm proposing.
Oh, excellent. And then I'd probably be like, okay, so if you want Sandra, we need to then replace her. So then I'd get into the next step of like, let's hire for her position, which is easier to hire for because what she's doing now has less skill sets that are more intense and less academic requirements are necessary. So it'll be easier to find someone to replace her than to find someone for this position that we're looking for right now. So when we do this, like when we're prepared, the meetings are much more productive and best of all, they're much shorter.
Right. Because we're not like in the meeting thinking about, I don't know who would be good, right? We've come prepared.
Yeah. So now that we're in the meeting itself, what's your advice, Erin?
Yeah, so we talked about preparation. That's half the battle, right?
Yeah.
But the other half is pushed into the meeting itself and then the action plan for when we leave the meeting, right? So for the meeting, follow the agenda closely.
Yeah.
Right? Less is more. So discussing one issue thoroughly is much more effective and much more efficient than discussing 4 separate issues, but like just barely scratching the surface.
Right.
You're going to feel like you have way more questions than answers at that point. And it's just better for the organizer to make sure that everything's clear and it gives everyone a chance to participate and contribute to the meeting, right?
Right. And everyone should have time to address their questions. Sometimes there's one who might have great ideas, but is a little more introverted or more shy or intimidated by the situation and are less likely to speak up. So as the leader of this meeting, it's really great to be like, go around saying, what's your opinion? Or let the ones who don't speak up as much really get a chance to speak up by calling on them. Say, what's your opinion on this? Like, I'd love to hear what you think.
Yeah, try to ask different people's perspectives and listen to their answers, listen to their questions. It just makes people leaving the meeting feel more productive.
Yeah.
Also. Yeah.
And by the time, we should have time for everyone to be able to address their questions. And if there's no one has the answer to this question, this is when you write it down, you put it in your action plan, and you write in, this person will find the answer to this question by this date. And then it's right there written down so that you can find that answer.
Right. Exactly. So, for example, I could say, okay, I'm going to create an action plan with a clear deadline, right?
Yep.
So it's just not talking the talk, but walking the walk, right?
Yeah.
So let me give an example.
Okay.
I could say, I will write down the criteria and the job description. I will send it to the hiring team by Monday, who will post it by Tuesday. So everything's clear. I know what I'm doing. I have a time that this is supposed to be done, a deadline that is supposed to be done, and a deadline for my team members as well, the hiring team.
Yeah, it's like a workflow that you're creating right there. And you even know that you'll be able to start interviewing candidates by the following Tuesday. So, like, it's in the works. Like, you know that you're going to need someone to replace Sandra. Or you're going to bring in some external candidates just in case Sandra ends up not really wanting the job or not being the right person for the job.
It gives us some buffer room.
Yeah, and I could say, like, okay, beforehand, I'm going to go talk to Sandra specifically. I'm going to take her aside, and I'm going to really just, like, encourage her to apply for the job. I'm going to encourage her that she'd be really great for the job. And then we'll see if we even need to post it externally, because if she says yes right away, like, we just need to then post for her position.
Right. Exactly. So there we go. That was the preparation of the meeting. So just to summarize, you go over the agenda by writing down your questions, suggestions, responses to anticipated questions for each point, right?
Yep. And then when you get there to the meeting, take a moment to arrive fully in the present, and then before actually getting right into the meat of it.
Yeah. And follow the agenda closely, right? And be mindful, making sure that everybody can participate, share their opinions, ask questions, that they have the space to do that.
Yeah. And end with an action plan that includes what the person's going to be doing, who is going to be doing it, and when it needs to be done by, like the who, what, when. Again, we come back to those question words so often, because when we can answer them, things are much clearer and we can really follow a plan and get it done. It's much more actionable, right?
Right. And they have, like, the why the meeting took place to give these action plans to kind of, like, prepare us for these action steps, right? So it's really good.
Yeah, like the why, like, so that they see, like, in the bigger picture, there's a reason for doing this. It's not busy work. They're actually contributing to the vision and the mission of the company by saying, okay, what I'm doing here, it seems small, but is really purposeful and meaningful within the realm of this, what we're doing and what we're creating and how we're helping people and changing people's lives for the better.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Sarah, before we close, I just thought, do you have a quick story talking about maybe your first time going to a meeting or leading a meeting or anything like that?
Yeah, I can think of one, like the first time I went to a real formal meeting, like with the president and the agenda, and one of the first times anyway.
Okay.
I went to, like, a networking meeting, and I was like, what is going on? There was a lot of vocabulary I didn't know. It was like a whole different culture that, like, I was being initiated into, and I didn't know what was going on. Then all of a sudden, like, they're like, and this is this committee, and then people would stand up and say their names around the table, and I was like, what is going on? Why are people standing up and saying their names? What am I going to be doing? When do I need to do it? And then I remember at the end, they said, give your appreciation of the breakfast. But I was thinking of the meal, like how well I liked the meal, but they meant the meeting that was during a breakfast situation. So I was supposed to be something like, oh, I really enjoyed meeting you. It was so dynamic. I enjoyed it. And I was like, the eggs,
Oh
the eggs were delicious.
Oh, that's good.
They're like, okay, the next thing on the agenda is everyone went around, and the visitors didn't have anything like to really contribute to that section. So we're just supposed to say like how we appreciated our breakfast.
How you appreciated the meeting, but they said how you appreciated the breakfast. And
so,
so,
like, why am I saying this? I don't understand. Why do I tell people this?
I love the eggs. They were like nice and runny, and they went great with my toast.
It's so ridiculous, and I was like, what is going on here? Oh, good one.
Oh, I think our time is up.
It is.
All right.
It really is.
I always have so much fun with this. It's so great. And the listeners, we hope you're having fun as well. Mm-hmm. So as you listen to what we were talking about, we also hope that you heard our words and expressions for today. So we had prep time, speak up, and deadline. So remember, jot those down, and we'll give you a crossword next week.
Yeah. And to help you make your work meetings a success, we've created a free checklist to help you prepare for a productive meeting with examples of each of the steps we just went through, from before the meeting, during the meeting, and even the action steps after the meeting.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And so to gain access to that, you can just go check our show notes for the link.
Yeah, and it's free.
Yep, It's free.
And don't forget to write down our words. It's time to say goodbye, adios, au revoir from Quebec City.
Yep, and signing off from Massachusetts. In case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Nice.
Hi everyone! Are you looking for a great exercise to help you prepare for leading a meeting? Well then check out our free exercise sheet on our resources page. The link is in the show notes below. See you next time!